Hello teachers, this video is going to look at specific ways you can do some right brain work in your peri lessons. Okay, here's an example. Perhaps you're teaching a wind instrument, a brass or maybe a string instrument or even singing. And you're going to begin with some long note work to warm up the tone controlling apparatus. If you start with, now I want you to play a long note, make sure that your rectus abdominis is exerting even all-round pressure and that your orbicularis oris balances that pressure equally. Then of course you've blown it, literally but also metaphorically. Even if you were to say, play a long note with an even tone, again the left brain is more likely to do this job. The key is to present this challenge imaginatively. You could say things like, can you play a long note with a mellow, deep blue colour, as if you were standing at the bottom of the Grand Canyon? This is a job the right brain would positively jump at. After pupils have had a go, you can then activate the left brain again and tidy it up with some technical help. But in general, the rule is to go from right to left. Present the challenge in such a way that the right side has to be activated first. The key is to be very careful about the way you word your language. Be really, really clear. Be clear about what you're saying and what you're asking. Don't be surprised to see children with enormous vocabularies, bigger than you might expect. Be imaginative. Use metaphor and simile. At the same time, be careful with really dull words like happy or sad. These are the two most often used words in describing musical character, but what dull words they are. Pupils will easily switch off when they hear them. They've got little meaning. They've been heard too many times before and don't excite the imagination. When talking about musical character with students, you could ask them questions such as, what does it make me feel? What does it make me think of? Does it remind me of something, a place, a person, a special moment? What's it like? From here, you can then build in stories within the music. And then naturally, the crucial principle of metaphor starts to come to the fore. Metaphor is an essential tool in teaching because it can help us to take students on this journey through the piece of music. This then helps build character through the music and make larger connections through simultaneous learning. As we move to a new area, a skill, concept or idea or character, we must connect it with something familiar. This is really important when dealing with musical character because we're asking our pupils to apply abstract concepts to a physical activity. When coming up with metaphors, think about comparisons, images, similes, allegories, figures of speech. Things like, I want you to play that with the tone and thickness of tone like chocolate fudge cake. Consider the age and interests of your students and build this in as an area of personalised learning. And one of the great things about the art of musical performance is that anyone, from a virtual beginner through to a diploma level pianist, can give a truly masterful performance. The kind of performance that leaves a tingle in the listener's ears or a shiver down his spine. They play with character, with involvement, with meaning, with intensity, and it can be done by anybody of any age, but of course you need the right approach. Every single piece of music we teach our students contains a story. It's up to the teacher to designate that story and pull out the imagination from within the student. Assign characters perhaps to sections, states of being, weather, conditions, things such as that. Music is a state of movement, perhaps sleeping or grazing like a sheep. Or you could tell your students to play that section like swans gliding over still water, or a section that fires on all cylinders, or perhaps a section that is zooming at the speed of light. For example, the concept of rallentando is often hard for students to grasp. Try asking them to read a passage out loud with a rallentando, a passage just like they're acting. At the end of every sentence, they can start to perform the rallentando or walk around in a circle, gradually slowing down. Real-life metaphors can be very, very effective. In addition, you could tell a student to play the piece or a phrase as if it's a warm, sunny day with the occasional cloud sailing by. Or you could tell the student, imagine you've been watching your favourite football team and you just scored the winning goal. Play the piece in that manner. Play that section in that manner. Try and exert the following expressions or feelings from students. Tell them to play warmly, content, by a cosy, glowing coal fire. Or maybe if you want them to play ecstatically after your team has won the match, or distraught after losing something important, or to play a section of music as if there's anger between two rival groups. Places, smells, textures, tastes, shapes are all good ways of getting into the imagination of your pupils in terms of playing with character. Certain pieces may conjure up sights, sounds, smells, and the atmosphere of a particular place, country, or region. For example, if your pupil is learning a Spanish fiesta, then bring to the lesson some pictures of feasting and celebrating, dancing with castanets, sun and colourful costumes, and so on. Textures might open the mind to some interesting sounds too, from coarse to rough, silky to velvety. Foods, textures and tastes can suggest a multitude of ideas, from skimmed milk to thick double cream and yogurt, from a piece of overcooked tough shoe leather beef to a slice of slightly grilled salmon that melts in your mouth, from rich chocolate fudge cake to a crisp raw carrot. A phrase ending could be sweet and sour or a bitter tart. Children love food metaphors. Bring all these things into your teaching to help students understand the character they're trying to go for. Tell your students, I want you to play this piece as if you're setting off for a football match. I want you to play this piece as if you're an astronaut launching into outer space. I want you to play that middle section as if you're Superman going to save the world. That last bar, I want you to play it as if you're falling in love. The first part of the piece, I want you to play as if you're waking up from a deep sleep. I want you to play this piece as if you're an angel welcoming people into heaven. Instead of telling a student to play loudly or forte, you could put imagery in their head. Tell them, play this part as if you're going to say, wake up or come here. Instead of telling a student to play quietly or pianissimo for example, tell a student, I want you to play this area, this part of the piece, as if you're going to go to sleep. Or perhaps telling somebody, shh. Just to summarize this video, and operating in the right brain areas, the areas of imagination and interpretation, every piece of music you work on with students needs to have a story, needs to have characters. You need to build this into your teaching. Use techniques such as metaphor to really excite and invigorate the imagination of your students. When they attach themselves to the piece of music in this way, you will hear very, very expressive, imaginative playing full of character.